YouTuber Lee Jin-ho, who's already pretty controversial for his coverage of the late actress Kim Se-ron, and now for defending Kim Soo-hyun, just exposed some wild Kakao Talk messages allegedly sent by Min Hee-jin, and honestly, these messages are explosive. We're talking about alleged plans to tarnish ILLIT's reputation and details about a possible takeover of Ador with outside investments. These messages were submitted as actual court evidence in the case between Min Hee-jin and Source Music. And apparently the same messages were also requested for use in newjeans court hearing on June 5th. So basically Ador submitted the messages to the court as evidence, but Min Hee-jin and newjeans' side are arguing that the messages were obtained illegally and shouldn't be allowed. So now we've got a classic evidence admissibility dispute on our hands. Ador is saying, the computer belongs to the company, we got consent from the file owner. While Min Hee-jin and newjeans' side says, and that's a violation of data privacy and unauthorized access. So now it's up to the court to decide whether this digital evidence is legally obtained and relevant to the case. But since the messages have already been exposed through YouTuber Lee Jin-ho, the public is seeing them anyway. We don't know exactly how he got access to them. But based on what was shown, it really looks like Min Hee-jin was planning to take over Ador and use media play and even a hate campaign against ILLIT to make it happen. In the leaked chats, Min Hee-jin allegedly speaks with former Ador Vice Representative Lee about investment plans and using the media to their advantage. Here's what Lee allegedly wrote. Hee-jin, today I had a casual conversation with an acquaintance and we discussed where we might find an investor capable of investing on the scale of trillions of won, billions of USD. I added that in the capital market, it's not unheard of for a minority shareholder to break through the control of a major shareholder and establish themselves as the actual owner of a company. What matters most is our plan, our information, and our ability to execute. Now, first off, let's be careful. These messages, as reported by outlets like Ogpop, are alleged and haven't been independently verified. Kakao Talk leaks have been a constant theme in this whole drama. There were earlier claims where Min Hee-jin didn't deny certain chats, but with anything like this, there's always a risk of selective editing or misrepresentation. If the messages are real, they are seriously damning, but until we see more official verification, we shouldn't treat them as 100% fact. That said, let's talk about what was actually said. Lee's message doesn't sound like someone who's just venting or frustrated. It sounds like two people allegedly plotting to become the actual owners of Ador. They're talking about finding massive outside investors, planning leverage, and using strategy and media power to wrest control from HYBE. That's not your typical workplace conflict. That's a hostile takeover type of move. They were allegedly trying to bring in outside investors with trillions of won, basically billions of dollars, to challenge HYBE's control. It sounds like they wanted full-blown power over Ador and to distance and break away from HYBE entirely. The idea is to strike a deal with HYBE. We'd offer them our previously invested shares in exchange for Ador shares. From HYBE's perspective, it would also be a win-win. Instead of letting Ador become an empty shell over time, they can sell it for a fair price before that happens. Let's break that down. Saying they'd offer HYBE their previously invested shares in exchange for more control over Ador suggests they were already thinking about negotiating a split, basically trying to buy Ador back from HYBE. But the tone here? It's strategic. They're framing it as a win-win for HYBE when in reality it could have been a move to quietly undermine HYBE's authority before they even realized what was going on. And this whole empty shell comment? This isn't the first time we've heard something like that. It lines up pretty closely with what Dispatch revealed in its explosive December 2024 report, where the tech company Davalink suddenly appeared in the middle of this mess. Dispatch claimed that Min Hee-jin was allegedly trying to secure a 5 billion KRW investment, that's around 3.7 million USD, to potentially move newjeans out of Ador and out from under HYBE's control. And here's the real kicker. Hyein uncle, a family member of newjeans' youngest member, was reportedly the middleman who introduced Min Hee-jin to Davalink's chairman, Park Jong-gyu. According to Tenasia and the Korea Herald, this all went down around late August 2024, right after Min was dismissed as Ador's CEO but was still holding an internal director position. Park Jong-gyu himself later confirmed to Tenasia that Haerin's uncle called him while he was golfing and had Min Hee-jin on speakerphone, asking for a meeting to talk about a potential investment. They reportedly met at Park's house in Seoul on September 30th, 2024 and talked for 3 hours. The conversation, according to reports, centered on Min's conflict with HYBE and Bang Si-hyuk. And yeah, she allegedly went off, calling Bang Si-hyuk a quote, effing pig. That meeting was supposedly all about securing funding to break newjeans away from HYBE, leaving Ador behind as an empty shell. Sound familiar? It's basically the same thing we're seeing now in these Kakao Talk leaks, where Min and former Ador Vice Rep Lee are allegedly scheming about investor deals and share swaps to gain control. Now back to Davalink. So yeah, the deal never happened. Park Jong-gyu wasn't buying it. He thought the 5 billion KRW ask was way too risky to commit to on the spot. Plus, Min's rant about HYBE reportedly rubbed him the wrong way, so he walked away from the deal. But here's the plot twist. Min later denied ever meeting with any investors, and when that came out, Davalink's stock price tanked. That's when Park got furious, saying he suffered financial losses because of the whole situation. Some people even speculated that Davalink themselves leaked the rumors just to pump their stock prices. And honestly, that might not be too far-fetched because their shares tripled at one point. But hey, that's a whole separate conspiracy rabbit hole. Now, I mentioned hyein's uncle earlier. That clearly means newjeans' parents were in the loop, or at least aware about what was allegedly going on behind the scenes. To me, this whole Davalink drama feels directly connected to the recent Kakao Talk message leaks. And speaking of those messages, let's talk about the disturbing ones. According to HYBE, Hee-jin wrote this: "In the end, we have to use the media. We need to prepare how to distance ourselves when HYBE gets dragged down altogether." Do you think they'll give up newjeans for 800 billion won? It's only possible if there's strong leverage, like a dirty secret or a bizarre condition that forces them to negotiate. Tarnish the reputation of ILLIT or HYBE. Make it public to the outside world. That way we can accelerate the decision on whether Ador will be sold or not. If the conversation only happens quietly inside, we'll end up being sold. We won't be able to take the lead. Yeah, that's wild. I mean, these messages are self-explanatory. If they're real, they're a massive blow to Hee-jin's side of the story. HYBE's been accusing her of breaching trust and plotting to steal newjeans in this. This is like handing them a smoking gun on a silver platter. And honestly, the media play didn't start recently. If you've been paying attention from the beginning of newjeans' career, it feels like this was all part of a bigger, long-term strategy. First came the subtle shade at ILLIT. Then controversy stirred up around Les Seraphim, and don't forget when Min used BTS name to market newjeans as their sister group. That move gave them a massive boost in fan attention. No other group under HYBE or any of its sub-labels was marketed like that, and no other creative director branded herself the way Hee-jin did either. From the very beginning, you could tell this wasn't just about building an idol group, it was about building a narrative, a PR campaign that in hindsight might have been laying the groundwork for something bigger. Now, I saw this comment online that said, "No wonder MHJ and newjeans lawyers were so desperate to keep those Kakao Talk screenshots private." And someone replied, "These were already made public last year. The same messages were used in court when HYBE lost the injunction." Okay, this is actually a misunderstanding that seems to have helped Hee-jin's image. Because when HYBE lost that injunction, a lot of people assumed that Min was in the right, that she was winning. But in reality, the first case wasn't even Ador versus Hee-jin. It was HYBE versus Hee-jin. And here's the legal twist. HYBE couldn't fire her as Ador's CEO because HYBE and Ador are technically separate legal entities. That's what the judge ruled. So the case wasn't lost because the Kakao Talk messages were fake or irrelevant. It was just that HYBE didn't have the legal authority at the time to remove her from Ador directly. One person said it pretty well. They thought MHJ's media play was obvious from the start. She was over the top and the stories she pushed just felt exaggerated and hard to believe. It was clear she wanted Ador's company assets and control over newjeans, but it was never clear how she planned to legally pull that off. Maybe she thought if she stirred up enough chaos, newjeans fans would pressure HYBE, or HYBE would just give in to make the drama disappear. Either way, it backfired. And this person pointed out something important. The only way Ador could have ended up as an empty shell is if newjeans and their parents were part of the plan from the start. Remember when newjeans' parents started going after ILLIT early on? Yeah, it's because they already knew what Hee-jin was doing. That's also why NJ and their parents are now desperate to block the Kakao Talk messages from being exposed. But here's where things get messy. The source of these leaked messages is YouTuber Lee Jin-ho, and people have serious concerns about his credibility. He's known for bullying the late actress Kim Se-ron, and a court even ordered him to stop making videos about her. But he didn't stop, he kept posting and now even defends Kim Soo-hyun, someone commented. This dude basically works for HYBE. He helped drive Kim Se-ron to her death. If you're still believing this guy, you might need to go back to first grade because that's when they teach you right from wrong. And you know what? They kind of have a point. HYBE isn't innocent either. Let's not pretend they don't use the media to push their own narratives. People are pointing out that HYBE even bought Tag PR, a PR firm, basically to handle controversies like this. So yeah, HYBE can absolutely tarnish Hee-jin and newjeans' image if they wanted to. But let's be real, who started all this? It was Hee-jin, remember? She held that press conference. She publicly accused ILLIT of plagiarism, while ILLIT has minors in the group, by the way. They've faced massive hate and harassment ever since just from being caught in this dirty PR war. And sure, HYBE's playing the same game now, but MHJ definitely threw the first punch. Even in my own comment section on the Bang Si-hyuk scandal video, I saw it. Bot accounts spamming old news, defending HYBE, trying to drown out any criticism. At this point, no one's completely clean here. But it's really just a matter of who's less dirty, and that's a scary standard to have for the people managing young idols' careers. And with that being said, this is the end of the video. What you guys think, do mention in the comments below, and thanks for watching.